Sorry, guys, just a second. I've got to go to the boys' room. Hang on. Sure, it's just a JPY. Talk about giving some jip. The stop was at 1403. Look what it got down to 128.06. 3 pips from the stop loss. Yo, 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 yo. And the dollar was going up as well. Yo, 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 yo. And I've got one guy and it's his first trade. Sure. If your first trade is the winner, you think the guy can forgot. If it's a bad one, we think we're the biggest idiots going, especially the first trade. Yo, 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 yo. Another guy, he's not, but I won't mention his name anyway, drive along, too keen because he did so the last couple of days, decided to do his driving along on his phone, did a fat finger, and he got margin call. He went way overexposed, put the wrong volume in his hurry. So, yeah, be careful, guys. Rather stop the car or miss the train. Don't do that. It could have come right. I mean, the previous one, it'd have been Christmas, another Christmas early job. But unfortunately, it went right down into it. Something like 10 times over what he meant to press. I think it was went in 0.1 at 0.0. I don't know, whatever it was, but it was 10. Got to put the extra 0 in, so it's a 10 times overexposed. And it would, of course, Murphy's Law happened to be one that came off of it. So I don't know, it's going to be rescued or whatever, but not a nice one. Yo, 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 yo. Yeah, so there it is. Well, just keep your fingers crossed. Say the dollar seems to be doing a little recovery based on that. If we go back to daily, I mean, it didn't suck it out of the thumb. It looked like the support was holding there. It looked like a good idea. A couple of other guys agreed. And just go totally off the top of my head. Put out a couple of guys. You know, like I do in the trading room here. What do you think, guys? Yeah. And that's all right with you guys, you know, the correct volume, you know, you discussed it, etc., etc. But other guys come in, they don't. They don't even know they're in derivatives or what. And just go in and they just tap the button and think what's the money rolling? You can't understand when it goes against them. Well, sometimes, unfortunately, it does. Even the dollar goes up. So, yeah, keep your fingers crossed, guys. Right. Anyway, moving along. It's 4 o'clock now. Where are we? Sorry, stuff's coming on the screen. As you know, pound came out exactly as expected. Again, they don't like to spook the markets. Euro came out exactly as expected, both 0.5%. Don't like to spook the markets. I think Lagarde might have finished speaking. No, he might be still speaking. I don't know. Obviously, come in here. Bottom line, it's it's much the same. Yeah, it didn't stop the jumping around. Look at actually, you see the Euro GBP because they're both on the same interest rate scenario. Maybe put it back to an hour, see what happened there. Look what happened there on the euro. That was when it came out. Look at the GBP. I don't know, what should we use? GBP USD. I've always use that one there. Look at that, hey? And it's exactly the same as expected. 126 pips jump in that 1 on an hour chart. Let's go to a 15-minute chart. Yeah, just over 15 minutes. You get the point, and that's exactly as expected. So it's all nervous reaction, overreaction. This is my opinion. Whether it is an opinion or not, that's what happened. Yeah, just shows, eh? I've seen interest rates slightly different to what's expected and got a reaction, sometimes not as much as what happened last night and today. It just shows how jittery the world markets are. I personally think, I'm going to give my opinion here only, I think one of the human things about life is denial. And I think most of the trading world's in denial about the economic debt that the baby boomers have knocked up, since we've gone off, since Nick's time, the gold standard in the 70s, and just kept printing currency, and then reduced interest rates from the COVID situation. Now it's coming back to bite. And every time a little bit good news, they're jumping up and down. Oh, maybe, put it off, kick the can down the road a bit. That's the only thing I can put it to. Because trust me, guys, I don't want to be a voice of negative doom, but you can't walk around with over $300 trillion world debt when you've got $100 trillion GDP, world GDP. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's only so much going another credit card to borrow from to pay your other credit cards. It's got to be some sort of area where, hang on a minute, this is going to sort of like implode, like a what do you call those? Like a supernova, explodes phenomenally and then implodes into a sort of like a black hole, if you like. Your basic stuff from astronomy, and big on it, but you know what I mean. So yeah. Yeah, anyway, so we shall see. But like I say, that's what you're going to watch. These emotional reactions, you can't predict. You know what I'm saying? I always used to say, I know you love your kid, but to call the surgeon in when it's cut its fingers a bit over the top. I don't be insensitive here, but maybe a plaster would do. It's an overreaction. CAD CHF, I think most are out of it. Some got out at 40, 50, whatever. Anyway, we all should take. So I've got to tick through, leave it alone. I'm going over that. Just remember, just coming up just now again on NAS. We're not in any shares now. They're knocked out. I think we'll give it a miss. Non-farms tomorrow. Let's just leave the shares alone. When we have sort of situations like this, best thing is to take your money out of your pocket, fold it, look at it, fondle it, give it a quick kiss, fold it back up, and put it back in your wallet. Probably better. But we shall see anyway. I looked at the CAD JPY. Oh God, it's coming off again now. And the dollar's going up. If you look at your dollar DXY, it's actually going up. Go figure. And there's nothing happening to on the yen to make it any other. There's nothing happening to the yen to suddenly some fundamental. And if it had, it would have shot down anyway. So dollar goes up, DXY, and anyway. Okay, remember the euro, to be fair, is a large part of it. Maybe it's the euro effect. The euro's obviously weakened a bit for whatever reason. Strange. Okay, where was I? Yeah, let's look at JPY for maybe a possible buy on this one. Just see what's happening. I was looking really actually a bit better. I wouldn't have a buy around about these levels, but it's come off a bit more. I think it's a bit of a range buy. I know I talked about stuff coming out. But no one's causing this yen strength, so maybe you should be a little bit more cautious over it. But as it still seems to be some, I don't know, it seems some sellers coming, buyers coming in on the yen. Don't ask me, I'm not quite sure. If you know, you tell me. Not quite sure why the yen's suddenly being a friendly face. Why suddenly now, I don't know. But the bottom line is, I think it's a possibility. It's going to be some upside on this one. Don't want to catch this, say, a falling sword. There's not much evidence of buyers coming in as yet. So looks like just trade I was sent out. I thought it might bounce from there. Obviously it didn't. So I think it's a possibility. But then again, it might come on down here, maybe a bit more circumspect. But I still think, what the hell's it doing down there? Yeah, fair enough. You're not keen on it, but I mean, yeah, in theory, it's a range trade. What makes a Japanese suddenly in the last few hours, unless there's something happened in Japan I don't know about, which it could be a possibility, all right. You know what I mean? So if I said buy that there, it's coming off in yards wide, I'm going to say I don't know. Luckily he's in, so it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying. Yeah, okay, Steph, yeah. But you did the Euro GBP. I mean, I say to the guys, be careful. The fund is coming out on both of those currencies later. You took it on with open mind. You're aware of it. As I say, if you want to drive above the speed limit, at least you know you're doing it. You have speedometer and you didn't know there's a speed limit. Where the shit is the fan. If you pardon the expression. But yeah, so that's fair enough. Probably had a bit of a jumping around. Was it Euro GBP? Yeah, probably had a bit of a jumping around on it. Yeah, there's we are. The pound comes out, the euro comes out. So there you are. I shouldn't really be telling you this. Just flashed on my screen from the CEO. I'm not sure I've been in trouble telling you what you said. Somebody please from Transport deal with this wanker. I should be saying that. That's a laugh. Just flash across to the WhatsApp from their office. Please somebody deal with this wanker. But as you know, I mean, I'm going to be diplomatic. Sometimes it pushes it. Yeah, it's like, do I sell this when it says clearly go long or buy? I don't know. You wonder sometimes. Yes. Keep the sense of humor. I always say it's nothing to do with I'm just new to it or not. I mean, for God's sake, might be new to bloody engineering. You've got a bit of common sense. Don't stick your finger into a mechanical thing that's moving, but nobody talking about engineering. You know what I mean? Common sense should kick in somewhere. Anyway, going back to the dollar yen, see what I mean? This is where I get fooled. This is where I get fooled. Everyone got the DXY there. Should all have it. Has anybody knew that? Don't see any new names. So yeah, all the names should have it. Look, it's going up as we speak. So this dollar goes down on here. So it could be the yen, but I don't know. This, yeah, this should be back up here. So I still say, sorry guys, but I still believe in that trade. In retrospect, it's not looking pretty at all, but I still think the trade idea was correct, and it's backed up in subsequent events by other than the actual price action. It's the only thing that's let me down. Have the expression, the patience of Job. Yeah, I certainly learned it. Yeah, no, I disagree completely with you there. I'll be honest, knowledge. You shouldn't have sold it there. You should have left it alone. You didn't know the fundamentals coming out. In retrospect, red came up. You didn't go. But what happens if black had come up? You'd have lost your money. You know what I mean? It might have happened the opposite way around. In retrospect, it's easy. If only I'd sold it there. But what would tell me to sell it there? You know what I'm saying? If only I bought it there. But how did you know? What happens? Let's say this was a fundamental came out there. What happens if it came shooting down there? Then it would be no. Easy to say in retrospect, rather stay out. If you do go in, remember it's a 50-50. Big smile or big tears. That's the way it is. There's no skill in it. It depends how the market reads it. And that's purely luck of the draw. There's absolutely no skill. If I'd said that with a straight face and I didn't know any better, you'd all think I'm some sort of brilliant guru. No, I got lucky. Or I'm an idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. Crazy. No, I got unlucky. I would have been wrong on both occasions, lucky or unlucky, because I should have had the knowledge to leave it alone. So I mean that. Just don't try and say you should have done after the information's out. Anybody said I should have picked that number after the lottery numbers are released. It's beforehand where the stinker is, you know. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's say finger trouble. Yeah, yeah. Don't forget, we call it fat finger in the trade. So if I come out that remark and you do have rather, shall we say, large fingers, it's not a personal attack. It's just in the trade we call it a fat finger. You can be anorexic and still be called a fat finger. People get so touchy in the days of the woke, eh? Come on, does anybody really out there? Come on, does anyone really out there think this woke carry on is actually really good? I think it's just making the world softer. Is this the same guys that fought in the war, died for their country? Lately, you know, guys in the bush wars, and what must think of the Reckies and the Salute Scouts must think, oh, I'm so upset because somebody called me bald. I burst into tears and hide away, traumatized for a week because somebody called me a bald old git. I mean, you know, aren't we getting just a little bit too snowflakey, shall we say? Hiya, Fiona. Come on, you bugger. Yeah, S&P mentions a bit overcooked. Maybe wait till Monday. I think maybe a possibility, unless something radical happens, we might get something on Monday on that one. Don't forget, tomorrow morning is the session, but normally we don't have an afternoon session, but 3 till 4. The non-farms come out of the 3 to do a session. Those who want to join, it's been sent out to all the guys over 2.5 in my QT group. So now we want people who've got money in their account to do it. We don't want hordes of people who come along for a bit of interest but can't make use of it. You know, we can only have so many numbers on there. People who can't use it, it's a bit pointless them being there in the first place. So if you do, and on the trade, or even you haven't, you can join it. But as I say, I'll be looking at a straddle trade. A couple of people already on here are familiar with it. It's not that complicated, but yeah, but just bear in mind, there's no such thing, despite what YouTube says, a license to print money. When there's a good return, there's got to be some form of downside risk. There's no such thing as a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? Even a lottery ticket, you're all right, you got massively lucky to win 40 million. What's it cost? 10 rand bought a lottery in years. Let's say it costs 10 rand, but the risk is still the 10 rand, which you probably wouldn't lose anyway. But still, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing for nothing. Just bear that in mind. I mentioned a lot of times, but I'm not sure people are getting this. They're coming in with something for nothing, and it's not happening for them. It won't. Yeah, I think we're being a bit unfair ourselves there. Finally, I saw you on Facebook just now. I gave you a like, by the way. Yeah, FTSE, I think a little bit unfair ourselves. At the time, Etienne's not on here. No, he's not. At the time, it was about 2 or 3 months ago, he called me up and he said, Roger, those trades I still think are right. And I said, yeah, I still think they were good trades. Just because the price action didn't bear that out, doesn't mean to say the information at the time wasn't correct. And I thought at the time, that was okay. So that's why you have a stop loss. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be an unknown. And a lot of the times, especially clever people here, because the trouble with clever people, they tend to be, unfortunately, a little bit rational and logical. And especially any actuaries or analysts out there, try and understand, I don't care who you are, emotion leads to logic. And that can be incredibly unpredictable. As I say, mentioned one of my favorite aphorisms is an actuary buys their fragrance aftershave perfume emotionally. And an actuary is supposed to be one of the most logical guys going. People going, should I say, because I know a very good female actuary. Doctor in actuarial science, but my God, she can be very emotional. It just shows. Always remember that. And that can be very much a go figure to anybody. Just bear that in mind. So the trade was right. I had a stop loss. And it sounds crazy. So I would be right trade and go wrong than get lucky, because the skill will overtake the luck after a while. I think that's fair comment. But I will be lucky if I get one and I've forgotten about the funding. If it happened to me once, completely forgot, got a guy into a trade and the funding went in his favor unbelievably. I do some real fast talking to get him off his knees. Virtual, I mean, he was on the phone, you know, and said, no, I'm not God, I'm not the financial guru, no. I just admit to him, I got lucky, very lucky. I shouldn't have done that trade. I forgot one's coming out. And thank goodness it went the right way. So you get my point. But it must have been funny. Literally, about a minute the funding came out, forgotten about, and it took off. He thought this was the greatest thing that the world's ever seen. It was horrible for me to actually put him right on that. Okay, yeah, we've done this before. Anna Marie's been fun. He's been here. A lot of you have been here before. We've had sessions like this before when we're down by the head with fundamentals coming out, so we can discuss, have a bit of fun. I try and add some value for your Q&A session, go over psychological as well as rational ideas, stuff like that, to create the valuable time if you want. As soon as I've got a shout, which I normally do anyway, because it's absolutely pouring down outside at the moment. Afternoon thunderstorms in Joburg. But I think it's going to, I'm not saying we can't, we have to have found trades, but we don't be pushing them too hard for the sake of it. Remembering the non-farms tomorrow, we've got 3 interest rate decisions, albeit all of them have been as expected, but it's had funny effects on the market. And I'm glad you saw that. It's not just me talking. It can have it where a situation, it comes at us as expected and start jumping around in some extraordinary way. Ah, lights are back on. Yes. So, you know, it's good to see it in practice, not just me talking, you know what I mean? And that's where you can learn this area of psychological unpredictability, Murphy's Law, whatever, is a living physical thing. Okay. GBP CHF. Did we have one on that? Was it one of yours? I don't remember that one. If it was, a good time ago. When did we have a buy on that one? I don't remember that one at all. It's one of yours, fair enough. Anyway, whatever it was, it's done what we call, okay, fair enough. Thanks, Ed. No, it's done what we call technical damage. Go up there, it's held, comes back here, tests, and has a little bounce there, and you buy it. Fair enough. If it goes wrong, you have a stop loss. But if you did that, I agree. Well, CHF, I might have been a little bit nervous. I'm always nervous selling the CHF. But that being as it may, forget the CHF. Technically speaking, what I'm trying to point out here, came back, bounced, and went up to here. Argument's sake, you bought it, stopped down here. Fair enough. Okay. However, this didn't occur. It went through here, and now it's gone through all three of them. So now technically it's in the sell zone. So we call that in the chart, you know, what's called technical analysis, chart reading. There has been technical damage. That's what that means. When I say there's been technical damage, it's broken through some areas. It's changed from a strong or from a neutral into a sell zone. So now they might get a bit of recovery as seen, which is probably profit taking. I reckon most of that is profit taking. Well, not a lot of it is profit taking, but a lot of it may be some sort of bouncing around from the fundamental that came out at 2 o'clock as well. Hope I'm not speaking too quick and you're with me. But now I would change my mind from a buy to a sell. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stay away from it. I like the sell because I like the Swiss franc, it's a strong currency, and it's got technical damage. So if you can go up a little bit further, say another 35 odd pips, I personally, if it can hold and then come off again, you're going to watch for maybe, you don't know how long, maybe 15 minutes, a little bit longer, can start coming off again. I now will be looking for a sell on that, not a buy. Oh, Anne-Marie's been late. Oh, right. Did you hear that, Zeph? Anne-Marie's been late. We're all equal now, women and men. No, I've said before, if you're late, you'll be sentenced to a month of trading and gas. And you'll never forget that. Welcome, Anne-Marie. It's great to have you. She's my warped sense of humor. Good to have you. Rather than 50 minutes late than you don't come at all. God, I'm a charmer. Sorry about that.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
I could just about. It's a screaming thunderstorm outside, so just about.
Yes.
Not even louder.
On our side as well, and we are camping, so it's much worse.
You're joking.
Yeah, we're camping.
Wow.
So if I just disappear, you will know why.
Yeah, my worry, if you're camping in this kind of weather, you might literally disappear. Okay, I get you. I get you. I'll be honest with you, I think I admire you, because the last time I was camping, I think it was about 10, 11 years ago. And I was a little two-man tent, just to be rough and toughy with my girlfriend at the time. We went there. I didn't think she was too keen, but she went along with it because she cared, and that's nice of her, just to try and do it for the hell of it. And we said afterwards, I said, you're a real trooper doing it, but I think our SAS, roughy, toughy, special forces days are over yet. I think that's it. So well done. Well bloody done. Some guys still out there.
Roger, we're permanently camping. We've got a big caravan and a big tent and everything. So we are camping in luxury. We are long-time campers, so we stay for as long as we want in a place, and then we pack up and go to another place. But the noise when it's raining or hailing is tremendous, and I can't always hear you.
Yeah, I hear that. I get you completely. I'm having a tough time here. And I've got a naturally very loud voice anyway, and I'm back in. But yeah, no, I hear you. There's tents and tents. You go in some of these £5 a night safari lodges, private game lodges, and that they aren't exactly two-men tents. They're complete luxuries, so I hear you. Okay, good stuff. Anyway, do whatever you can. And it's nice to have you anyway.
And what did you say about FTSE?
The FTSE, I'm just saying, I've really got to shout now. That I still think the trade was right. If you're still in it, stick with it. But you cannot control what happens on the fundamentals and people's take on it. So in other words, the reaction to a fundamental release can sometimes be very strange. I often think, why is that happening on such a small piece of information? Like it's come out as expected. So I still think the trade was right. Just because the price action moves against, I think the trade, the idea was right. So if you do get stopped out, well, so be it. But I still think it was the correct trade. Sometimes the reaction is very, very strange. You know what I mean? So there you go. But I can't call with fundamentals. It's impossible. We got what's the jobs report? Forgotten. Just a second. This is another jobs report. Not the job report. The jobless claims. Big difference. Jobless claims came out 3:30. 183K, 200 expected. So that was slightly better. But then again, because it's less inflation, in theory, should have had a bit more wings than the dollar, but the dollar strengthened a bit. That's why at the moment, the reaction of the trades out there to information can sometimes be a bit straight to be diplomatic, to say the least. So let it run. You got your stop. And you might get lucky, but I cannot predict what's going to happen with jobs report. The other fund is coming out. That's the situation. Okay, that's the lap of the gods. Let's get a trade idea. I mentioned this now about serious and some attendance. I think it's quite funny. I just took that moment to read was about. The guy's kicking up and he's going to take us to court and we'll lose our license because he lost his Wi-Fi on the 2100 FOMC announcement on the interest rate. Just so that happened, he lost it. He lost his Wi-Fi, and of course, then he couldn't control what happened to the market. You know what I'm saying? And he was on his demo account. He wasn't even on his live. You know what I mean? So anyway, I won't mention any names, but you get my point. So please, guys, check the fundamentals. The NAS is open. No, it's about 2 minutes to go. Thought 12.5 might hold. Looks like it's not. It's going still higher. That go figure. Don't understand. This is denial. This is a bull in a massive bear territory. I'm surprised. I can't. It is what it is. The price action is what it is. But I certainly would recommend it buying the damn thing. And this is where you've got to be careful. No ways. If you go back in time, and even though now, well, I would obviously say buy it now because I'm going to see it. But there's no ways, even after seeing that, go back a couple hours in time, and you said, should I buy the NAS? And I would say, absolutely not. I'd probably say steer clear till tomorrow, wouldn't be in it. But I certainly would not advise buying it. Now look at that. And let's go back to the dollar. The dollar has come off a little bit, but still popped up from 100.80s, 85 to 101.50. It's a reasonable move. It's come off a bit, but still, that's a go figure. I think some Sandy might come back in the fall. We'll see. I'm not saying that because disagreeing with me. I'm trying to see it as the facts in the fingertips. You know what I mean? So that's why always watching position sizing. However cool you think you are, however good the trade appears to be, funny things can happen. And most of that, trust me, is not rational. It's emotional reaction from a very, very large retail market, which is now running to many millions worldwide. I know we deal a heck of a lot with people who are trading with, like driving a car, not knowing where how to change gear, not knowing the first thing of why, where, or what. They're purely going on some sort of emotional feeling, and it's extremely irrational. One guy alone won't make much difference. You multiply that with a few million guys, and it starts to become a bit of a hassle. Maybe we should say you can't trade till you pass some sort of understanding, basic Q&A oral test. Ask the guys to explain, do you know what this means and that means? Because it's causing some jip, it's emotional irrationality. And it's considerable. I remember it's about 12 million, it was about 8-9 years ago. I think it's in the region of 50-60 million, but I don't know. But I know it's an enormous amount. And I have to say, a lot of them are extremely, shall we say, unknowledgeable in their trading, and that's very difficult to deal with. I mean, come back here, and the dollar's flying off, the yield is flying off. That's good for the Nasdaq. We know that, and that would be a buy. And suddenly it comes shooting off. That's emotional. A lot of guys think they want to sell it for some reason, but because it's selling, it'll push the price down. Remember, that's collectively, not one guy. One guy alone, unless it's a government, won't affect the market. Too small. Okay. It's quite difficult doing this actually, because it's racket outside, interfering with thinking. Right, so I still think we can have a look at what's that yen doing? Anything happening there? No, it's come back off again. Bloody thing. Give up. Has it stopped anyone out yet? Not quite. We're on the 15 minutes. No, the daily. So what? Hang on, the skinnier teeth. Don't know why it's come back off again. No idea. Looks like it's getting a kiss goodbye. Okay, maybe we should leave the thing. I was looking at this one, but it's not getting any traction. What's the daily look like? No, I think just maybe I'd rather miss it. Brent, I've been trying to get hold of, but it's now technically in the incorrect area. My old favorite CHFJPY, it's come off quite a bit. That's another possibility with the Japanese yen, unless it floats out about 3-4 hours down the line. Something's released. Japanese have suddenly had some fantastic export deal where someone's bought 2 million Toyotas and they release it now. It's a bit late now, I've already gone the damn trade. Unless something like that, I don't know quite what's happening. But on a purely technical basis, for a range trade against a strong currency like the Swiss franc, in theory, even though it's in the sell zone down here and it's been range trading for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the last 2 weeks been range trading, that in theory should be a buy. Again, we did one last time, we hit the TP. With a stop down there and the TP up there, you definitely get your risk reward. Do you want to risk that, guys? With the Japanese behaving rather strangely? Because technically speaking, that's a buy. But I understand you're a bit gun shy.
I must tell you, my psychological limits was tested the last 2 days quite badly.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, don't mind me saying you're a scientist, so clearly you're a clever guy. I'm not sure what discipline. What discipline? What scientist are you? What discipline are you in?
Chemistry.
The chemistry. I've
Yes.
told you that one. Have I told that one about a weak little Tommy? Have I told you that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only chemistry I know. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, obviously, you know, you're a clever guy. I don't know if you're a PhD, etc. But yeah, I don't care if you're a PhD, a professor, or a genius. We're all emotion creatures. It's the way we are. It's built on our genome or whatever you call it, DNA. And so, yeah. And when you take a couple of knocks, your confidence takes a knock. The problem with that is, let's say you risk 100 units of trade, you have a good run, you double up, right? Which is the wrong thing to do. The trouble is, when you have a bad, you start halving it to 50 because your confidence down. The trouble with that is Murphy's Law kicks in, and the next 4 trades you do are brilliant. The trouble is you had 50 instead of 100 units on it, and then you made half your money back. So that's where it's very difficult when you're emotionally knocked or not confident, especially after a bad run, is to stick to the discipline of saying, I'm going to risk 100 on each trade I'm going in, and I'm going to stick to it, whether good or bad. You must have heard of If, you know, the very famous, brilliant poem, if that's the right word, of Rudyard Kipling, to treat the 2 impostors equally, or a better quote, that's not exactly quite correct, but, you know, treat the 2 impostors the same, and there you'll be a man, my son. And he's one of the great writers, you know, and an unbelievable poem, If. It's getting difficult here, sorry guys. And that is put out there, but as I say, it's very difficult to do. But yeah, I hear you. I'm not sure about moving your stock away, Pete. Sure, if people do that, it's natural. As long as if you do move it away and increase your risk, you can handle it if it goes wrong. We don't want you wiping your account on one trade because you can't accept a lot, because it's a common occurrence. And my other worry, if you do move it, it does bounce. Now it gives you the open sesame to make a habit of doing it. And the next time you do it, it might not have a happy ending. Be very careful of that. Very careful. That is psychological if nothing else is. Very tempting. Done it, know it, got it. It's all psychological. Let's go back to it. Oh, sorry, let's do this first. We requested it. GBP, yeah, okay, sorry. Do the same TP as before, right up there. Exactly the same as the last one. Yeah, I do that for an SL if you like. If you want to take it, there it is. Roger, stop talking. Do you know, Pete, since I popped out the womb, there must be more people on the planet who told me that with extreme failure. Why is you looking at that? I remember when I was a kid, about 6 or 7, and I won, you know, you pull the turkey, you know, the wishing bone when you have the turkey at Christmas. And the other guy was an adult, he was in his 20s, very much a friend of my parents, you know, a young guy, but anyway, very clever guy. And he won. And my father asked him, what did he wish? And he wished that I would shut up for at least 24 hours. That's one wish of his, which was a successful guy, unfortunately did not come true.
Thanks, Roger. That make me laugh again. I'm going to go for this CHF JPY because
okay, yeah. Okay, great. I hope it works out, but don't double up in revenge and don't go Harvey's. Work it out and stick with it. Okay.
I think I hit emotionally the bottom when I kept with this FTSE 100 for exactly 2 weeks, and it was in profit and out, but I wanted the TP, and eventually I got knocked on the SL at a major loss.
While you're looking at this trade, I just want to develop that. It's always an argument, a point of view, like all this, a debate. There's no right or wrong. But I'm more and more, I'm leading these up and down markets with, like I mentioned, psychology, fear with the retail trade being so large. rather than modified. So if it is doing well and you want to hold on to the TP and it does reverse, at least you're not taking a loss. There are going to be times you make 1 rand profit when you're up 100, but I think rather that than try to get the 150, leave your stop and a loss, and a fundy comes out or something strange comes out, and then you win as a loser. So I'm still in favor of doing it on that basis. I've missed out some better profits, but I've cut out a hell of a lot of the losses. So I think I might stick with that. Okay, anyone want to do this one? What's happening now? I think we're missing it. It's just jumped. Ah, shit, it jumped. You can't do it. Did you go for it? You can't do it now. You missed it unless we start adjusting. We can adjust the stop loss. You got him with that now, it's too late. You have to adjust the stop to there. You can just about manage there if you missed it. If it's moving quick, it might not hold 1 to round figure, but if you want it, it's moving, get your trade in, as long as you know the volume, which you can see it's 70 odd rand a micro, and then put your SL and TP after you've ended the trade, because then you by the time you put that in, it's jumped 10 pips. Well, you mean can't?
I missed it. I missed it.
Well, you still take it if you want. Adjust the stop loss. It's only $5 a micro. Not ideal, but still below today's low. It's not cheating. Submedelian NK got in. Hey, you see these guys, hate to say it, on the ball. They're not here for banter. They're here for professional, serious business. Good man, good men. All right, put it down. Where we put that? Where do we get in? Where do you get in? 131, 40, 90, eh? We'll stick this with stop. Good point. Good point. It's all right. Don't jump the gun too quick, eh? Okay. Don't celebrate too quickly. Not across the finish line yet. Take your point in time. Good point. Celebrate, and you're not. The money's not in yet, and then a glitch occurs, and the disappointment. Quite right. Don't get ahead of oneself. Okay, what I mean by missing it. Let's say you want to go this, a fast moving one. You've got the risk calculator, it's $75, and you want to risk, let's say, 300. 75 to 300 is 4 times. So you know your volume is going to be 0.04. So you go to where's the new order? You go new order. All right, you put in your 0.04. Let's example, whatever it is. Let's pretend in your case it is. And then you press the buy button. And then after you're in, you go down, you double click on the stop loss, and you put your stop loss and TP after it. So if it jumps 10 pips, you're on board anyway. And otherwise, what you're doing is this. You've got to be on it, especially if it's slow, it doesn't matter. Fast moving market, then you go to the stop loss, and you check out the stop loss, you find 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it is, and then you go to the TP, and you R1, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it is, and by the time you press the buy market, the damn thing shot up 10 pips. You understand what I'm saying? It's like when you modify, only you modified your original stop loss after you've entered. As long as you put it in, and then you know what I'm saying. I've got a feeling Farn's just gone in because it's gone off a couple of pips. He's picking up the Mark Shearer disease. Are you there, Mark? That's teasing. I used to a little trading room I used to have where 2 of us, a guy called Manfred, forget his surname now. German guy, but South African German, was born in Germany, So slight accent, slight to German accent. And he said to me once, I can't understand it. Every time we work out a trade, we do due diligence, we go in. Every time we go out, it starts going the opposite direction. Often comes right in the end. The still trading's happy, but why is that? And I've said, he's a very logical guy, this guy. I said, you won't understand this, but it's something I strongly believe in. It's called Sod's Law. Mine clearly did not work out. I'm not sure what you mean by what didn't work out. If you got about 90, it should be fine. Let's see what happens. Give it 15 minutes. Yeah, it might bounce around a bit, but yeah, it's trying. Very trying. Oh, sorry, Father, you've got broad shoulders. You can take what I'm about to say. Hey, Pete, finally clearly didn't go into the USD JPY as long because it's jumped. Now, that, Farney, is what you do, is teasing a guy when he's had a couple of bad trades and his confidence is down. I always say, why not far better kick a man when he's down? Because when he's up, he might fight back. Hey?
You're right. Yeah.
No, I'm only teasing. Okay, yeah. So, right, so come on, it's got to break through that resistance on the massive 15-minute long-term trade view. I'm kidding, it's only 15-minute. We can just break through there. The dollars start to go up again, thank goodness. I'll tell you what, we can turn the winner out of this one. We'll put the smile back in their faces, eh? And it all learn how it can give you jiff. And there'll be one or two guys who went in, maybe overexposed or first time they traded, couldn't understand what it came across because the god from the trading room knows exactly the future. Now it's going against, he must have lied to me, must be scamming me. And I've gone down a couple of rounds and I'm going to take it, my loss and sod this, and then shoot up again. So stick with the strategy. And especially gets that close to the SL, you might as well let it run. You know what I mean? And that got 3 away from the SL. So Pete, get your stop loss back to the original if you modified it away, please. You don't want you to make a habit of that. Well, I don't. You might want to, but I don't. That's what we've just been talking about, Dirk. That's just what we talk about. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was just mentioning there, I think a bit of whinge. You know about Poms are famous for whinging. What, as the Aussies say, the whinging Pom. About the trade coming right off. It flirted, literally flirted with a stop loss. It got down to 128.06 and 128.03 was the SL. Remember, a couple of times it hit the stop and bounced, and probably that's what Pete was coming from. Because it happened to me a couple of months ago. But 5 pips lower, I would have still been in. I was so tempted to do it, so tempted. And I nearly did, and I thought, be honest yourself, you speak to guys in the trading room not to do that, and you go and do it yourself, you become a bit of a bloody hypocrite, you know what I mean? So so I left it. Now I wish I'd been a sodding hypocrite, because it would not hit TP in the end. Well, maybe you'd be lucky this time. But it was some jip. There's a bit a long way to go. We're still in the wars here. We're still down, but it's a little, or a lot better it was. We've just got to break above this guy here. Remember, it's only a 15 minutes, not an hour or 4 hour, week, anything like that. Just got to break above this. You can do that. Our next couple of problems here and see if the dollar can remain, and we might come out with a smile. But at least if we're not about to jump off the roof, at least now we might have a little bit better feeling. We shall see. Could easily turn around again. At least it's a lot quicker than it was, eh? I think Marius took a bit of strain on that one, so I hope it's going to come right for you in the end, Marius. I hate it when someone goes one of my trades and goes wrong. It's going to happen, I guarantee it. Always will happen. I mean, it's happened, but still, it's not a nice feeling. If someone goes wrong in one of their own trades, I'm ashamed, but at least it's not mine, you know what I mean? But yeah, look at your DXY. It's green at the moment, so let's just hope it continues. I think the buyers and sellers are just getting a bit indecisive at the moment. And remember, some guys will think it's a sell zone, not look at the DXY and think, oh, bugger this, I'll sell it. Enough people do that, it's going to force the price down. Or there might be some short covering profit taking, that be bounced up. So that's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know, a few reasons out there. Okay, let's look at the Swiss franc again. Keep an eye on that. Go for the non-farms. Non-farms not so good. Make another opportunity to do a buy-sell on this one, because this is one of the stronger ones. Euro dollar is the more popular one. The Nasdaq, of course, even before, is very volatile, and the S&P is if you're a smaller balance. But we'll look at it tomorrow. If anyone wants to join, remember those guys are late. If you want to join me tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm doing an afternoon session just for an hour to talk about what we call a straddle trade on the markets before the non-farms. Remember, there's always going to be an element of risk, but if it comes right, it can be very profitable. I'll go through the mechanics now if you want, but certainly then give it a go. But don't try it if you don't understand or we don't have any money, basically. If I say what money, I mean, at least have a 2 or 3 grand in your account. Don't try and get cute, 100, or a few $100 or something. I said before, it's kidology. You think you're going to beat $1 trillion market with about $20 in your account. David and Goliath can happen, but not very often. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Well, the Meta went up. Thank God you rescued us on that one. Thank you very much, Barney. That would have not have been pretty. But yeah, that would go up. It's good news, and it's now caught basically on the on the momentum. I mean, you might say Meta, Microsoft, Google, the different companies. But when you get a momentum, they all seem to go the same way. I mean, I don't care who you are. It seems to be we all seem to have the sheep aspect. Eh? Go with the flow, and they say. Well, now clearly it's gone to buy zone. How long will that be sustained? I have my doubts. Don't think about buying and selling it now. We've got the non-farms coming tomorrow, but keep an eye on it. The non-farms work out okay. I don't know where that's supposed to mean. Yeah, you might look at an opportunity then, but I'm going to be very hesitant on buying this thing. Probably go up to about 500. I'll still be hesitating, but I am very, very nervous on the bigger picture of being bullish in these markets. Very nervous. I'm very much a Jamie Dimon man, the CEO of JP Morgan, that we're on our way to some sort of financial catastrophe, a tsunami, the word to use. The debt situation we kicked down the road so much, sometimes going to come back and bite. So I want to be on board. Hate to say it as a short when that happens. I don't want to be caught long when that happens, because when it comes, it will come. Market noise, Marius, big time. Remember, what was the interest rate decision? If I'm going on a bit too much, not be rude about it, but say, right, well, we got that, Roger. You can look at something else. I'll do that with pleasure. But I just want to reiterate this. The interest rate decision on the dollar, the pound, and the euro was exactly as expected. The bullet points finally brilliantly and kindly point out, which I put to everybody on my group, and I think it was even put on Facebook as well, was basically nothing new. Not one single area there was new that I didn't know, probably you knew as well. There was not one single sentence on those bullet points we didn't already realize. If the situation changes, then we'll have to make a plan. No sodding kidding. I wouldn't mind being paid a couple of $1 million a year to state the absolute effing obvious. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is an emotional hope in a very scared trading market out there. This is to me is a psychological bump in a lot of problems out there. So do not get sucked into that, because if it falls, remember, the bull goes up the stairs, the bear goes out the window. That means fear is a much more powerful emotion than greed. If you lose 1,000 rand or 1,000 units or whatever, you're devastated. If you win 1,000, you feel pretty good. Vastly different emotional reactions. And the fear will not, when it comes, it'll be quick. I've seen it before, and it is big. And then you have routes. What happens actually out of interest, they have what's called, not cutters, what's the technical word, where like a fuse, the proper word for, I forget the word now, in the exchanges worldwide, it immediately closes the exchange. so you can't trade for about 15 minutes. It falls out off a certain percentage to stop overall panic. Then about 15 minutes later, it opens up again and gives you 15 minutes to relax and think a little bit, to come the motion. If it continues falling, another 15 minutes. If it does it again, I think that the clicker or the cutter or whatever the word comes in, I think it could last the rest of the day. So it gives you a day to overcome that emotion, to get some sanity back, because they didn't have those clickers in or cutters in or whatever into the exchanges. Remember, it's all done online now. It's all electronic. The panic would come in. You get the emotional panic coming in, and then you get a serious run. That's what happened in the Great Depression. When you start frightened, you won't be able to get money out of the bank. You get a run on the bank. Same sort of principle. Fear is very, 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 very powerful. Never underestimate it. We're guided by it. It guides our lives, and it guides, especially the lesser educated. They are more amenable to psychological sales pitches involving fear and greed because they're more susceptible to it. You know what I'm saying? Very powerful. Okay, is that just remember that? So nothing wrong with reading. See if you overcome that one now. Sure. Yeah. So as I said before, enjoy reading about the doings of the Ewings or whatever, and all this stuff on Instagram. But always remember, question it, and question sometimes. Is it? Let's be honest, isn't it rather on the trivial side? A lot of it is it trivial to steer your minds and thinking away in a democratic nation from the real issues which they don't want to answer to. Just be very, very wary. Once you're aware of it, it doesn't matter. Then you can have a lot of laughs and enjoy it. It's a bit of fun. It's like watching Idols, watching the Wooden Mike and Idols. I got bored after a while, but about 8-9 years ago, I used to find it a sort of comedy show. Say for the wrong reasons, but when you like was it Jerry Springer? When you start buying into it, it's a worry, because it's not good. You know what I mean? And it's dangerous. You get all hyped up, marching down the street. Things must change. Realize that you're thinking exactly you're being made to think. And when you have, let's just say, 90% of the American media is owned by half a dozen tech companies with the same narrative, you realize it's not a biased, it's not a objective information you're getting. It's a narrative. Be very careful. Okay. Well, it's looking a little bit prettier now. Hey, Maris, I think you're still there. Yes, you are. There you are, Maris. Good, because you asked a question. Good. Sure. You must have been sweating blood when it was down here. Not just you, but everywhere else, Pete and whoever else in it. Quite a lot of people went for it, a large amount. So, sure, hope guys didn't panic and take it. I know one guy got margin calls. He has a fat finger, I mentioned, but that's just a pity. If you say to me, "What's your trade idea there?" I've lost 35% of my money on that trade. What sort of crap are you sending me? My answer to that: you are grossly overexposed. That is your fault. You should not lose 35% of your entire capital on one trade. You're grossly overexposed. We all do, yeah. Sweating bullets, I certainly wasn't. Okay, so I wasn't sweating bullets, I was sweating blood. Yeah, you have to go made for a blood transfusion, eh?
Hopefully you're O positive or negative.
No, I'm rhesus positive. There's a great comedy came out. Have you heard of Tony Hancock? Enough to remember, a British comedian, called The Blood Donor. And he didn't want to give blood for whatever reason. He said, "But no, you're rhesus positive," or something like that. That's very rare. And she said, "Rhesus positive? They're monkeys, aren't you? They're monkeys, aren't they? I haven't come here to be insulted by a legalized vampire." So yeah, good old British comedy. Yeah. You do a blood test. In those days, I don't know what they do now. They stick a quick jab into your thumb with a needle or something like that, just to draw some blood out to test what your blood is. He started putting on his shirt, going away. "Well, I'll go get me coffee and biscuits now." He says, "Where are you going, Mr. Hancock?" And he says, well, give me blood, I'm off now. I said, but that's, but that's just a mere, what should we call it? A mere, what was the word he used? A mere smidgen of words to that effect. He says to Hancock. Hancock says, it might be a mere smidgen to you, doctor, but it's life or death to some poor bugger out there. So, yeah, Blood Donors, 60s comedy. You can get on YouTube. Very funny. You enjoy it, finally. Very good. Tony Hancock. Come on, it's got to take out this guy now. That's the next step. And then it's got to get right back out. It's got a fair whack to go still, but it's even do it. Might pull back a bit, you know, the ups and downs, but it might just another 20 pips and we're back on course. And it's got to, well, start to do fair whack to go. But let's see. You might have a pleasant surprise. Keep your fingers crossed. If the good news comes in, you're in a profit tomorrow, just remember it might be nice to protect yourself before the non-farms. You don't want to have a stop down here when the non-farms comes out and something rotten happens to the dollar and bang, you stopped out. So yeah, don't raise it yet, clearly. But if it is in a reasonable profit, just play safe. Okay. GBP JPY. You see, my big problem is why is the Japanese yen, unless they've done some big export order? I know they want a weaker yen. Why is it suddenly strengthened? Because remember, they don't want that. They've got to export themselves out of trouble. They can't do it by raising interest rates because their debt is so high. Like the other countries have done, they can't do that. And they're quite open on that. So they've got to export the way out. So they, to do that, need a weaker yen because otherwise they can't compete with South Koreans, etc. Right. Or the Germans come to that, because remember, they're in that problem, part of the euro, which is fantastic for a successful country like Germany, because they don't have exchange rate problems when they want to export their BMs, etc., and merge. I hope you understand what I mean by that. So having some, if you want something the yen, but to buy it there, it is in the sell zone. It has come, however, it's come down to support. I take it could be a little bit oversold or undervalued the pound at the moment. Even though the interest rates come out as expected, it has some rather strange effect. So I take your product could be upside. I just think it's a bit iffy at the moment. It's not a dollar related, so hopefully won't have such an impact as the other stuff for tomorrow's jobs report. I tend to agree with you, but I want to baby bonds stop. We can go back up here. Oh God, you can get there's plenty of upside potential. What's it doing on the weekly? Hey, look at this. Looking much better on the weekly, eh? It's a hell of a tent you got there. You got proper Wi-Fi in the tent. It's not exactly a two-man tent. Hey, yeah, look at this. It's bounced off here. And look at that. So weekly, it's looking pretty good. That's looking much better. Big tick. I'll look at that in a minute, fine. You might be right, actually. What we're doing, the 4 hour now. A few buyers are coming in. We've got this bit of support. Let's crunch it a bit more. We've got a bit of support going back here. It seems to be holding. Starting to look a bit better. A bit of sideways on the 1 hour, but so be it. Let's get a bit clearer. It's not the trade of the century, but the weekly has pushed me into slight favor. Let's have the stop on the daily. Yeah, let's have not too tight a stop. Let's have it there. Maybe slightly tighter. Maybe a 70 pip stop, unless you want a wider one. And then let's not get too cute. 71 at least about 120, something like that. Maybe just to the bottom of that area there. Not too bad. First hour's a bit iffy, but after seeing it on the weekly, I don't think it's too bad an idea. What do you think, guys? What do you think about up with the risk rewards? I want a quick look at the ZAR. Yeah, I agree with the ZAR. We'll come to that in a minute. Anybody, before we come to the ZAR, anybody feel they want to go for this one? Husband likes it, Anna Maria like it. I have to say I quite like it. And the good news is Fani hates it, so that's another plus. Mark detests it, another plus. And Pete's just moved his stop loss, it's another plus. So I think it's looking like a good trade to me. What do you reckon? Seriously, guys, anybody like it? Should we put the RR up? Do you like
Yes,
it?
go for it.
Hey, your turn to tease me next time. Then finally go for it. Wow, there should do it. Take it to there. Make it just above 159. Get the risk reward. We're probably out 159 anyway. Yeah, I have to do it there. It's a bit tighter. 80 bucks a shot. I do like it, but in this case, certainly don't overexpose. But then again, I've said that in other ones that are brilliant and turn out fantastically. So you've got to make your mind up. Do you like it? It's your decision, and I haven't got my volumes right. So if I lose on it, I can comfortably take that loss. And if the money's out the window as you enter, anything better than the stop loss is a profit from that point of view, as we discussed this morning. And Tomby likes it, Coyote likes it. Clearly, Anna Marie, Dirt's there, even though he might not in the trading room. I'm counting in his account. So that's 4 people. Do you like it, Farney?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right, I'm putting it down. What do we call it? 158 on the nail, shall we? 158 on the nail. 157.33. 159. I suggest, by the way, it's all to look good on the SLTP risk reward. If it gets to 159, make sure it becomes up, you take it. Don't want to get to 159 and start flying back. Remember, we discussed that with the CHF JPY. You hit the round figure, started pulling back. Or the other way around, CHF, CAD, CHF, or whatever it was. Remember that one. As long as you're comfortable, don't overdo it, yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable, that's the major thing. And the dollar is still going up. Please continue. Right, so there you are, guys. I've got it written down. Hey, do you hear that? Nothing. Good. Means the rain stopped. Yeah. Yeah. Right. This is an issue I have. I want to buy it lower down. Technically speaking, I couldn't agree more. And I was tempted to look at it there, stop above there, but I'm a little bit nervous. If I do a sell down here, I'll take it down there, $3.40. Where are you going to put your stop? $2.30. You can't get a risk reward. I suggest you're going to miss out because it looks like some more downside. Listen, it's up to you. I'm suggesting miss out, rather see if we can buy it if it gets around about these sort of levels here. If we can come back to 79 level, I'd rather buy it than try and chase it down there because your risk reward might be a bit of a problem. As my wife said when I proposed to her, she said, it's a risk reward. I want to be married, Roger, but not to you. The risk is too high. Just joking. Okay, so that's my take. Anybody disagree? Anybody think they want it? Because I think it's going to come up a little bit more. However, having said that, the momentum's down. It looks like a little bit of support there. Might get a profit-taking bounce. Who knows? But yeah, whatever. I don't want to buy it there. Clearly, I want to buy it down here, like I mentioned. But I'm not sure I want to be selling it there. I'm fine. I'm not. Nothing about not sure. I'm absolutely sure I'm going to leave it away. Me personally, as in moi. I've heard that joke about what's a guy who can speak French, incredibly handsome, and has a very charming disposition. What do you call that? Moi. Sorry about that. My husband. Serial killer. Okay, well, let's have a look at Japanese yen. That might wipe the smile on my face. It's coming off that because it makes no sense. Oh, sorry, the yen. Yay, 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 yay. Yay. Hey, Marius, looking a bit pretty than a couple of hours ago. Hey. It just starts to look as good looking as Dirk and myself now. Hey. Just come on, keep going, mate. Keep going. Dollar rand, yeah, I agree with that. Anybody see the rand as something you would be buying? Anybody out there, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Anyone seeing strength of the rand going forward? A very good whiskey, because you're taking some pain there, right? Yeah, exactly. Now, we're not being negative, we're not being nasty, we're being realistic. Two people say, oh, it's being negative, but somebody's got to face up with reality. This country, unfortunately, has not had, shall we say, the best leaders the world's ever seen. And as a result of it, there are some hassles going on, which I think, or unless we're deaf, dumb, or 6 feet under the ground, hidden in a cave somewhere in Afghanistan, would realize that. So, yeah. I thought 70 would hold, and technically speaking, it's come back and attacked this on the daily. Yeah, I agree. The dollar's going up as we speak, by the way. So yeah, I agree. Don't forget, guys, not the guys about 2.5 grand or more can look at it. Anyone below 2.5, leave it, because it's 650 odd rand is the deposit. It's an exotic. It's not a mainstream currency. It's not a cross or a major. So it's an exotic. So it attracts higher costs and it attracts a higher, which is probably more the issue, deposit. However, never mind the extra costs. If it's worth it, it's worth it. Stop down here, somewhere like that, and you can take it back up here. So if you want it, I've given the parameter. You go in and you get caught and your margin call because you went in because you didn't hear what I said. Well, it's your problem. Sorry to say. Make sure you don't go in if you've got 2.5 grand or less. 2.5 grand or more you can. So, you know, you get my point. And take it right. You don't have to get too cute to take it up there. I think to go higher than 1740. Been up there already. Hey, just be careful of non-farms again. The non-farms kills the dollar. The rand will automatically strengthen, even though it's nothing to do with the rand. You get my point. Yeah, I don't care whether you're DA, ANC, or EFF party. I don't think anybody who's got an IQ above 5 thinks it's been run like Eskom and Transnet and Denel and potholes and God knows what else been run particularly well. Yeah. Okay, so having said that, anyone want to do this? Finally put it up, so I presume he's going to do it. Anybody can afford, want to, prepare to do this one? We don't send this one out to guys because too many guys don't understand it. Too small accounts, go into it, getting margin called, and they start kicking up. So this is for TR guys who they understand. It's been explained to them. If they want it, I think there's a probability there. I was looking at was someone who sold the gold. Expect a pullback. If you get a pullback, we'll buy it. Hey, bloody hell. Excuse my language. Sorry about that. Wow. Come on. Do anyone want to do this one? Because I want to move on to gold. Wow. I was looking at maybe a pullback at 1940 something. Look at it. Wow. I thought there'd be some profit taking. That's why I certainly would advise no one to chase it. Hit the TP 3 times on the trot at 1950. All the way for the pullback, 40, 35 or something like that. Look at it now, 1920. Yo, 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 yo. We'll look at that in a moment. Right, guys. Anybody want to do this one? No? Finally alone?
I'll take it.
You don't have to. I'm serious. Don't say just the hell of it. If it goes wrong. I'd see upside. Yeah, I'm worried about the non-farms. Well, dealer will take it if you can afford it. That's great. Make sure you got 2.5 grand or more. Otherwise, the margin will hurt you. Not the risk, and put the margin will eat up too much of your account. Right. Okay. You sure? Because you remember the non-farms coming out tomorrow. You might have Christmas coming early, where it's good. Yeah, brilliant for the dollar, but it might not. Okay. Final. You still want to take it with one dealer? I'll write down if you do. Just go the small one. There you are, finally. Just a small one. You can't take the risk, or don't. If you can't take the risk, don't do it. Because I tell you, it'll screw your head in if it goes wrong. And if it goes right, you're not thinking correctly, you take it to good, all sorts go on. That's, be honest with yourself. You can lie to everyone else, but at least be honest with yourself, I would say. Okay, I've already, 1706 was the figure of going in. 1691, 1740. See how that goes. That's purely for those who can and understand. See how guys. I want to go look at gold now. Any doubts, stay out. Remember the old adage. Gosh, quiet now, it's gone the old raining. It's one thing about this country, it rains and sods off. If it was the UK, it just drizzles day in, day out. I don't know how to be in the UK. I mean, it might have a lot of good points, but weather is definitely not one of them. Guys, it's like what American once said, it's like living at the bottom of a bloody well. Yeah. I think start getting, I'm very much for the buy on this one. Buy the pullbacks. I know it'll be affected by the non-farms tomorrow. So if you rather wait till Monday, it's up to you. But it's come back there. I see a buy on this one. Well done, Knowledge. Thanks for attracting my attention to it. Now, we can definitely get a risk reward if we get the stop. Make it 950, gets about 30 bucks away. So how far away is that? Just about squeeze it. I want it to be, yeah. Ooh. It's just squeezing it. I think it's going to get to 1980, but I can't, I'm not sure it's going to do it this time around. So 1900, and will we get it? It's a bit of a squeeze, very much a squeeze. Might not get it. You're going to have to risk a tighter stop to make it work if you still like it. Just about squeezed there. It pulls back there. So you're going to be risking 24 bucks a micro, which is not big money in anybody's currency. You know, it's about $1.50 a micro. So it's not exactly, you know, I mean, anyone can afford a trade, can afford that one. So maybe just, if you like it, I am bullish. It's going up as we speak. If you like it, work out your volume quickly, get in and put the SL and TP afterwards. It's moving as we speak, and that could drop to a rush to rate ratio, which you can't take. Have you got that, guys? Because Morris wants to see SL and TP. I'll read out to you. 16.91 and 17.4. Well, I'll do it up again, but I just need, do you want to do this? The gold, bouncing again. It's come, big profit taking bounce back there. See upside on this one. Do you want to take it? I'm putting me out, I'm Arsenal line now, I quite like it. Dollar's still going up. Anyone want to take it? Okay, I just need to know this quickly, guys, because Morris needs to do a proper trade. I'm going to faff around all day and the guy missed a trade. This guy's indecisive. Okay, great. 1922 to 1950. Okay, got it written down. Let's go over because just quickly on the position size and the dollar rand. Right, 19, where is it now? 17, why has it changed? Should be defaulted to, I'll put it in a moment ago. 16.9, make it 90. And then to 1740, yeah. Yeah, plenty of risk reward there. And you're talking 150 bucks a micro. remember the costs involved, but Marius, it'll have to be a serious screw up tomorrow. If that's going to bet the rand hit the TPS. So it could happen, don't get me wrong, but if even that weakens, remember the rand weak. I have to say it to make them more despondent. Of the emerging markets, this has been the worst performer, the emerging markets. South Africa has got serious issues. When that happens, you get what's called a brain drain. It makes it even worse because the guy that got the skills all of a sudden bugger off, leaving the complete unskilled, which makes it worse. Okay, so that's down the gold. Let's look at the yen again. See, now the dollar's continuing up, so this comes back. So why is that? Probably a bit of profit taking. Panic getting out. Might have got in there. Some guys panic and got out. You always get a bit of noise, not always rational. But yeah, the dollar's continuing to sort of try and recover. It might get a bit of noise at 102. It's close to that now. But if you can just get above, maybe we can start reducing stock to protect itself and turn this one that came pretty next to a disaster to something that's not maybe too bad. Remember what I said tomorrow? If it's in a profit and the non-farm's about to come out, get your stop. If you can, and you're decent profit, try and get it to at least entry. You might be taking out the note with zero, but better that than a bad smack. And you might get lucky if the dollar suddenly strengthens. Remember what I said many, many times. I'll say it many, many times again. The world debt we're not out of the woods. It's still sitting there. You can push under the carpet so much, but it's still sitting there. And we have a habit of people doing that. It's called denial. I'm not a heroin addict. I can give it up anytime. You know what I mean? That's we're in denial. Or cocaine addict or whatever you are, an addict of.
Something else. Did anybody read about the sponsorship of our department of tourism?
Yeah. I didn't go into great detail because, quite frankly, there's so many other even bigger nuisances going on. I thought it was a bit of interest, but I didn't go into great detail because it really didn't really affect world markets. I have to be honest with you, Farley. I follow more what's going on overseas than here because the credibility of the people here, I don't take a lot of notice of. When they say something, it goes in one ear out the other because unfortunately, the trust and credibility is shot. So they'll make the right noise, but they haven't got any substance. But yeah, on the surface, without going into great detail, shoving the best part of R1 billion to sponsor, and the off chance they'll maybe get some return on tourism by putting the name out there. I'm not so sure. And you don't forget, guys, it's a very expensive country to come to. People don't know this because you know where they advertise it over there, it's expensive. And you might think, well, hang on, it's only 50 rand a bill, or 40 rand a bill, or whatever. They book packages over there, which are one of the more expensive in the world, believe it or not. And there's a lot of other opportunities when we live in Europe. They can go to other parts of Europe for virtually nothing. You can go to the weekend in Ireland for about 20 quid with Ryanair. You can fly to America and all other places. There's a lot of competition. And often they go to Kenya and places like that. It's expensive, the package they got for this country. So they've got to work on that a little bit as well. Yeah, so I think it's more of an advertising thing. But whether they can splash that kind of tom out when, you know, when all the other hits are going on is another story. And that's what the kick-up was about. But I didn't get any more depth than that. So I don't know if you did. Okay, have you got an opinion on it? No, it was West Ham, I think it was.
At least the diesel could end up cheaper for Eskom. They use that money locally.
You mean for some sort of tourism coming in, you mean? I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I really don't think you can buy tourism with that kind of sponsorships. So for me, it's ridiculous. Rather look after your own people here in the country.
Well, I quite agree. It's a bit of a sensible investment, in my opinion. I might be wrong. To spend the best part of £1 billion to put the name out there. Believe me, they've got a million choices out there, and they're well aware of South Africa. Mandela was one of the, after Coca-Cola, was the best branded name in the world. Everyone knows about it. So don't you need to suddenly support a bloody football team to do it. And it's not exactly Chelsea or Arsenal or Manchester United or whatever. It's West Ham. I'm sorry if you're a West Ham supporter, but you know, you get my point. But some of the stuff done by people in power, just you know what I mean? I've met one or two of them. I'm not going to name anything like that, who are fairly senior positions, and I have to say, my God, we've got a problem, because you know what I mean. It sounds like this sort of film a trick the first time. Some of the stuff we come out with, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so unless it's again like everything else, they're not so daft. Someone said if you do that, you get 10% of it. And we're all human. 10% of £1 billion, 100 million rand. Yeah, we'll put it through. You're in power. It's not your money, just it's government's money. Sign the damn thing off. No problem. US dollar and JPY is going to help China. Can you extrapolate on that, Pietro? How do you mean?
Roger, I'm going to find it. It's a news group, and they say that the USD and the J is going to see the sales and more the exporting, helping them to get back on their feet.
What, China? I don't know. China. I know it's been off a little bit lately, but still, I thought it was okay there. All right, fair enough. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I know there's a couple of issues there. I won't go into great detail, but okay, fair enough. Remember, when you got a $15 trillion economy, is it 15 trillion? Something like that. Anyway, was it America's? No, America's. What the hell's America? America's about 20 trillion, I think. And it was the second biggest in the world. Yeah, will affect. So that's good to hear. Okay, that's fair enough. And theory, off the top of my head. Back to your question, Pete. No idea. I'm not a big football expert. I know a fair bit about tennis, golf, snooker, cricket, a little bit about rugby, but what I know about football, I'm afraid to say, is not that exactly encyclopedic. Pretty small, actually. So why any of this stuff is, when you get released the paper anyway, you get released what you get released. Behind the scenes, a lot more goes on, you know what I mean? But you know, we're so used to fiddling and scams, we ought to make jump conclusions another one. And I haven't seen any reasons to think otherwise, to be honest. I mean, they've blown 400 billion on Eskom. Why not blow another billion? You know what I mean? Alone. I mean, they can't even pay the bloody capital off because they can't pay the interest off. Most of this money they've been taxpayers' money and borrowed money because taxpayers not producing enough. Remember, when I said the middle class don't have enough money to produce that kind of money, so they have to borrow most of it, high interest rates, to pay off the interest. It's not enough to even cover eating into any of the capital. It's a 5-year-old would know better economics than that. What, on the US dollar yen? It's up to you. If you want to take it, it's up to you. I can't make that call. The dollar, just look at the dollar. It's come off a bit. It's got near 102. It might come off a bit more. Who knows? I can't. What that's going to do from there, it's impossible. Nobody can tell you that. You've got to make that choice yourself. I can think it might recover a bit more, but I could be wrong. I cannot make that call. If you ask me, is it going to come down 20 or up 20? Nobody on the planet knows that. The short-term movements is too many variables involved. Ultra short-term movements, that is. So have an overall view. Stick with it. You've written it off anyway, so you know that's it. If you're in a panic all the time, you're either overexposed or you shouldn't be trading. Might come right. Hope so. Okay, guys. Is the gold coming? Let's just recap before we close off. CHFJ. No, was it? What did we? CHFJPY. Anything happening there? 140.90, 141.14. The guys who took it start. We're not out of the woods yet. You know, the whistle hasn't blown. End of the match yet. But at least we're in profit. Nice one. Gold, we took a few minutes ago, so give it a chance. Gold's about $1 up or something. That's okay. And what was the other one? We know all about the yen one. That's been going on about all that. Oh, the dollar rand. Here's another one. Well done, guys. We've got some out there. Yeah, it's up, I don't know, about a cent or so. So that's fine. So at least they're running okay, and we're getting some recovery from the dollar yen. So let's just keep your fingers crossed. Been jumping around a bit. It's had a nice move up in the last 50-minute chart. So when you get what's in 45 minutes, you've got an 80 pip jump. You're bound to get some pullback profit taking. Remember, every time one dealer or anybody out there sells, all right, if you're selling one might go much difference, but collectively, every time you sell, it's going to have a negative effect, and people are buying selling all the time. Hence, you're always going to get a jumping around. You're a GBP. I saw Zeph. Is he still with us? I'm not too sure about this. It wasn't last time. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this, so I'm not going to do anything with it. If you want it, you do your thing. I'm not kidding. GBP JPY. I think we mentioned that just now. You're expecting what you want at 15 minutes. So sorry, I looked at the wrong one there. Because you're a GBP. It's come back to. Oh, hang on. 3 different. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Von Deely. We'll put that on. You put that on. Sorry, Pete. Sorry about that, Pete. I've got a 15-minute chart like a dickhead. It's come back tested in the buy zone, and if it bounces up, that's a buy. That's a classic example of technical analysis in the buy zone. Breaks through, comes back, tests, and then breaks up again. That's a high probability buy from a technical point of view. So just see if it can buy and maybe recap a bit of movement. Let's see it sustain, maybe regain 89. And then you can put the stop down here somewhere. Make sure you get a risk reward and take it up. Where's the next one? Take it up to there. How far away is that? No, that's not going to work, is it? Oh God, you're going to have to take it up. There's too far. I think you have to have a bit of a guesstimate. Maybe take it up to around 0.9. But in theory, yeah, that's a buy. If you can do that. Okay. Get my point, Van Deelen. Yeah. So I can't make that call. I want to understand that correctly. GBP JPY. Yeah, we mentioned that just now. I thought it looked familiar on the weekly bounce there. A lot of guys didn't want to do it, so I sort of went away from it. But you're still keen to do something. Well, we're on the daily now. Where's the stop now? Not too far away. Maybe about here. If you want to do it, I see the possibility. It's not the trade of the century, the possibility you want it. Yeah, maybe down there. Just get a risk reward, taking it up to maybe there. Maybe there. 159.08. That rings a bell, eh? 159.08. Head on just now. Guys didn't seem over enthusiastic, so we moved on. Don't put it down if nobody wants it. Okay, I'm going to put that up a little. I like the stop there, only tighter. So put the stop there. Not the stop, the TP there. I'm okay with it. I must admit, I'm not as excited. I might be wrong, but I'm not excited like I was with a good example, dollar yen. Right, send out the gold and the rand and the CFJPY. I'm more excited with those than I am with this one, but I'm certainly not against it. Okay, guys. Yeah, anything else? Are we good? Catch you tomorrow morning. Hey. And I want
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Farley.
Good session.
Thank you very much. And I want the smile backs on our faces. Okay, we don't want to carry on being despondent with that dollar yen, so maybe we'll get the smile back. hopefully anyway. Good stuff, Fiona. Kearney, Pietro, theirs, if you say so. Thanks, guys.
Cheers
Cheers.
all.
Cheers, Nick.